What's going on, guys? Today I thought since the season's postponed a bit, I thought I'd give you some of my favorite player for each NHL team. So let's start. Arizona, obviously, it's going to be Phil Kessel. I liked him when he was in Toronto, and then he came to Pittsburgh, won us 2 Stanley Cups, and I'm forever grateful for that. One of the best players we had during those cup runs. So yeah, next, Anaheim. Hampus Lindholm. Um, Ever since I saw him like NHL 15 or 16, one of those, and he was like one of the defensemen on the rise in that game. I've always liked him for some reason. I don't know why, just some reason. So yeah, Hampus Lindholm for Anaheim. Boston. It was hard for me to come up with one, but I settled on Linus Allmark. I really wanted him in the offseason because of the Jari issue, but I'm glad we didn't get him, of course, because Jari's been amazing, but he's probably my favorite player on Boston, because I really don't like any Boston players at all. Next, Buffalo. It was hard to pick from there, but I picked Dustin Tokarski, just from like back in the day when he was actually a goalie that had some promise with Montreal, I believe. I liked him there, and then he played amazing against us this year, so gotta give him his props. Next, Calgary. It was either Johnny Gaudreau or Matthew Tkachuk. I really like Matthew Tkachuk's game, but I ended up on Johnny Gaudreau for the past like 7 years. I thought he was one of the best players. I like. I usually tend to like more smaller players, like smaller, speedy players, playmakers, because that's just the type of player I like. Next. Next is Carolina, and my favorite player, Andrei Svechnikov from there. I liked him when he was in his draft year. I always thought he was going to be good for that number 2 pick, and he's been really good. The lacrosse goals, of course, just really flashy, good player, and he's fun to watch. Next, Chicago, easily one of my favorite players, Marc-Andre Fleury, was great for us for over a decade, won us 3 Stanley Cups. Um, yeah, lived up to the number 1 potential, and just a great guy, of course. So yeah. Next, Colorado. Didn't really have any favorite players from there, but Nathan McKinnon's always a good watch, and nice speed. Great player all around, so it was hard to pick from Colorado, but I ended up on Nathan McKinnon. Next, Columbus. Another hard team to pick one from, but Zach Werenski is probably my favorite player. I can't say I watched him a lot, because I don't watch Columbus a lot, but every time I watched him, he's been pretty good, so from Columbus, Zach Werenski. Next, from the Dallas Stars, Miro Heiskanen. Just a really good defenseman for Dallas. Again, I don't watch a lot of Dallas Stars, but he's one of my favorite players when I watch them. Next, Detroit. I chose Riaka Verana again, another fast, speedy player. Was on a tear once he got traded to Detroit last year. Too bad he went down with an injury, but he's one of my favorite players to watch when I do watch Detroit. Edmonton, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins for me. I just like the loyalty he's had with the team. He got picked when Edmonton was an awful team, and he stuck with them all the way through, and hasn't really lived up to the number 1 overall potential, but he's stayed with Edmonton all through and through, and yeah, I just commend his loyalty. Next, Florida Panthers, gotta be Patrick Hornquist. Won us the Stanley Cup in 2017 with the last-minute goal. Great player for the Penguins for like 8, 9 years around then. Just always was that feisty player we needed when we got to the playoffs, and I'll forever have that memory of him banking it off Pecorine with a minute to go in the Stanley Cup Finals. Next, Los Angeles. Ole Mata, another former Pittsburgh Penguin. Felt bad for him. He had to deal with a lot of stuff in his playing career that really set him back. Could have been a really good player. Always liked him when he was in Pittsburgh, and it was sad to see him go for Dominic Kuhn in that trade. Next, Minnesota. I chose Kevin Fiala. I really liked him when he got, I really started to like him once he got on that hot streak at, right before the pandemic paused the season. So always thought he was good ever since then, and I really like him. Hopefully he can regain form. Montreal, it was hard to pick from because I don't really like that many Montreal players, but I decided to go with Ryan Penguin just because of the hat trick he scored on Toronto. It's just so funny to see. And yeah, no other real reason for him. Next, Nashville. I chose Philip Forsberg. Just a really solid player for Nashville. Just really solid when he just really solid. I like what he can do with the puck. That lacrosse goal, of course. Yeah. And I don't think he gets the love that he deserves around the league for how good he was for the past decade. For New Jersey, gotta be Jack Hughes. Every time he plays Pittsburgh, he just seems to score every time. Just flips it top shelf or something like that. And I like his charisma and character outside the game. Just really fun to watch him. New York Islanders, it was really hard. I really do not like the Islanders, but I chose Noah Dobson. Not really for any particular reason, just seems the least irritating on the New York Islanders. And pretty much same thing with the New York Rangers, where I chose Ryan Strome. Just a solid hockey player that just stays out of doing stuff that irritates you. So Ryan Strome, keep doing that. Ottawa Senators, it's gotta be Tim Stützle. I loved him even in his draft year. I was kind of hoping that we got him in the draft when once the qualifying teams got one of the picks. I really liked him. He was my favorite player in that draft, and he's continued to be that. Philadelphia, I chose Martin Jones. One, because Philadelphia is hard to pick from because there's just so many irritating players on the team. But Martin Jones I chose because of that 2016 final where he just stood on his head against us. And obviously if we would have lost that series, I probably wouldn't have liked him as much. But I just loved how he played in that series. Obviously it's gone downhill, but I still like him for some reason. Pittsburgh, my favorite team. Gotta go with Jake Gensel, my favorite player in the entire league. For so long it had been Sidney Crosby, but the past few years Jake Gensel has topped my list of favorite players. I just love how he is able to score at will whenever we need a goal. He's there. One that always sticks in my head is the game one that I always remember is in the game 1 of the 2017 finals when we had like 10 shots on goal. We were up 3-0. Nashville came back to tie it 3-3. And when we needed that goal, he scored it. And we went on to win the series. That's the one that I always remember. San Jose, Thomas Hurdle, mainly because of that 4-goal preseason game that I remember watching, and then the between the legs goal on the 4th goal. That was just one of the games that I'll always remember in my brain. Next, Seattle. It's gotta be Jared McCann. One of my favorite players when he was on the Penguins. Great sniper. I wish we could have kept him, but need to do what you had to do. Yeah, just one of my favorite players when he was with the Penguins. St. Louis Vladimir Tarasenko, one of my favorite players of all time, anyone I've ever watched. At one point when I was a kid, he was probably my favorite player in the league. I had a jersey of him. I just loved the way he sniped the puck and just loved everything he did with the puck. Tampa. It was hard to pick in Tampa. A lot of not likable players. So I ended up with Mikhail Sergachev. I don't know why I like him. I just do. Just a big force on the defense for them. Toronto, again, it was hard to pick from, but as I told you, I like the small, speedy playmakers, so I had to pick Mitch Marner. Probably the definition of that player, really, for me. Just pretty good at passing and skating. Vancouver, I chose Brock Besser. I just loved the one breakout season he had. He was probably one of my favorite players during that time, and always have a soft spot for him in my heart. Vegas, to be honest, I really didn't have a player for this, but I just chose Shea Theodore. No particular reason at all. Just the best of the bad bunch, you know. Washington, Carl Hagelin, from the Stanley Cup runs we had with him. Very essential part for us in that run. And he'll always be linked to that team. Even though he's with Washington now, he'll always be linked to that team. Then finally, Winnipeg. It's no one will ever guess this, but it's Brian Little. I don't even think he plays anymore, but he's on the roster. Whenever I see Brian Little, it takes me back to 2010, 2011, 2009. He was like one of the only good players on the Atlanta Thrashers / Winnipeg Jets early years, and he was always a player I'll remember in the back of my brain. So leave some of your guys' favorite players. Maybe if you could even leave a list of all the teams. Leave all your teams and your favorite players for them. And peace, guys.